Hi everyone. Today our group will explain and analyze the case of JAK Bank Community Economic Development and show the problems and operation models targeted by the model. So the members of our group are Shiyin, Bozhen Zhao, Zhang, Jun Zhou, and me. I will cover the overview of the case. Shiyin is responsible for application of the Houston framework to understand the case, and Bozhen Zhao will cover the general presentation of case and relevance to a CED social economy. Zhang is responsible for summarize the overall content of the case, and Jun Zhou is responsible for response and lead discussion, which is the overflow of this presentation. Basically, the slogan is JAK Bank Hinting and contains its organizational intelligence, goals, and attributes, and it is also the development slogan of JAK Bank, as I have shown here. JAK member banks contribute to a sustainable society for people, the environment, and the economy by working to reduce the social debt and reduce resources extracted from the environment, which is also their core values. Next, I will break it down into several aspects for the presentation. First, I will tell you about the history of JK Bank and why it is established. Second, I will show the members within the organization and their attributes. Third, I will talk about JK Bank's development goals and some strategic arrangements. Last but not the least, I will show you how it works and some problems revealed by how it worked. About the history background. So, JK Members Bank is a cooperative member-owned financial institution headquartered in Sweden. JAK Bank was established in 1970, so way back. JAK is the abbreviation of George Orbit Capital, which is worth mentioning is the capital with a K instead of C, which leads to our short for JAK. The organization is a cooperative based in Sweden, so JAK Bank also has the attribute of its cooperative. The cooperative JAK was founded in Denmark in 1931 during the Great Depression. The association issued a popular local currency that was subsequently banned by the Danish government in 1933. In the following year, in 1934, it established an interest-free savings and loan system and a local transaction system. Although both systems were forced to close, both systems were an attempt at cooperative business at the time. JAK Bank's experience in Denmark inspired a non-for-profit organization in Sweden. The nonprofit had developed a mathematical system based on savings points called the Balanced Savings System. The association developed slowly at first. In 1997, a legacy amendment acquired the association to obtain a banking license from the Swedish Financial Supervisory Authority in order to continue operating as a financial institution, which was granted that year. Bank deposits are insured by the government. So far, JAK's bank savings point system and operation mode are fully mature, which is like how everything started. Second, from the perspective of member attributes, most of the members of JAK Bank are Swedish. In addition, every time the organization implements a vote, it needs to hold a general meeting of members to demonstrate the use of voting, and each member has the right to participate in voting and elections. In other words, the board of directors is elected annually by members, and each member can only hold one share in the bank. This can not only ensure the voting rights of members, but also ensure the voting rights are not monopolized by individuals. In addition, the organization's membership often requires volunteer promotion and advertising, and members will be subject to certain investigation after completing the application. The behavior is purely to ensure the interests of the group. And if members want to borrow from JAK Bank, they must have Swedish residency. In other words, they must be Swedish. Finally, the services of personal guarantees and property mortgage are only available to Swiss. This highly close regulation is mainly to allow the organization to better serve members of the local community and to establish a regional self-governing community. Third, JAK Bank exists to meet the following four goals: promote collaboration between the community and members and involve members in the running of the entire organization, and grow more business through good standing. These goals are the organization goals of JAK Bank, and these goals are also to serve their core values: to promote social, human, economic, and technological development with sustainable development. And finally, here's a scheme, a diagram of how the organization works. So the organization makes loans to members through savings point system that I mentioned before. When savers give up interest income, they also don't have to pay interest on their loans. Therefore, the organization is essentially a cooperative.
Capitalism is an economic and a political system where an industry is meaning for profit and expansion as its sole goal rather than helping the public. This has been the history of capitalism, and with it, there has been a gap in the distribution of resources. With this system, development is not even and there is unavoidable, since the main goal of the system is capital accumulation. The capitalist society also has issues where the labor market is divided by ethnicity and gender, which varies with time and place future leading to unequal development. States try to limit the effect brought about by capitalism. For example, when capitalism leads to formation of ghost towns, but there are limits to state policies that stop theirs from being effective. Limits of capital also hinder the management of the different sources of capitalism. Socioeconomic offers an alternative that can help in some way to limit inequality that comes with capitalism in view of limits of state policies and the limits of capital. Socioeconomic has brought about many large policies, in fact, in marginalized problem areas. However, in most cases, socioeconomic develop in areas that lack the capacity to generate profits that can be of interest to capital. There is therefore means that the weight filled by social economics is a weight that has been lifted out by capital and national state. Social economics and capital economics are not opposed to produce a surplus, but the emphasize on a different approach to the use and distribution of the surplus created. Social economics therefore created a surplus that can be reinvested in marginalized economics, leading to dynamism. Social economic, however, has its limits. Social economics organizations found themselves competing with mainstream capitalist organizations in their quest to increase their market share so as to create a large surplus. This is leading them to behaving more and more like the mainstream capitalist organization. For the article, social economics has three perspectives. The first perspective is distinct from the second and third, which are similar. The fourth perspective is also the one that is most close to JAK Bank. The fourth perspective, despite the ethical, social, and moral role of the SEO, which have the main responsibility of deliveries, goods and service that otherwise would not be delivered by mainstream capitalist organization and the state. Most SEO are also local with the main aim of meeting local needs, which remains their main priority. This causes their organization to depend on volunteer labor heavily. Most capital institutions provide loans at an interest. JAK Bank offers loans at no interest. There is additional since most financial institutions give out loans in terms of interest, and there is a main way in which they gain money from their capital. The article describes an SEO as an organization that provides goods and services that are not provided by capitalist organizations and the state or government. Most people do not have the means to obtain money for difficult use such as for capital. The only available options is borrowing a loan from various financial institutions. Most capitalist organizations and the state take advantage of this and offer loans at a high rate that may go up to 20%. From the article, JAK Bank is an example of a socio-economic organization since it does not charge interest on these loans. This gives up who are short on capital an advantage since they will return earning the money the initially brought. JAK Bank act as an adjunct to the capitalist organization and is a safety net for those people who cannot keep up with the high interest by mainstream organizations. This gives people an opportunity to become future entrepreneurs of the capitalist economic. This makes JAK Bank an intermediate space in which those that has been economically excluded due to the restructuring processing of the capital economic can be integrated back into the mainstream economic, giving them a chance as others. Most people who bring money use it for the purpose of stay-ups. The burden of repaying the amount alone is difficult, and the interest making it even more difficult. The JAK Bank encourages people loans from there if they are willing to foresee the interest that they will earn from the saving, which is a small price to pay as many mainstream organizations pays more interest rate to saving compared to the loans. The article therefore provides an appropriate loans that can be used to look at how JAK Bank is a socio-economic organization with the goal of helping those who has been left out because of capital restructuring, leading them to poverty. The bank therefore gives those people a chance to get out of poverty and join the mainstream economic.
Hi, my name is Bozhen Zhao, and let me introduce more general situation about JAK Bank and the relevance to social economy and CED. Hi, my name is Bozhen Zhao, and let me introduce more general situation about JAK Members Bank is a cooperative which doesn't strive to make profit. The co-op, which was founded in 1965, had vast growth in the late 1980s and secured a banking license in 1998. JAK now has 35,000 members in Sweden, $147 million in total loans, and $163 million in assets. Mutual assistance and financial reciprocity amongst its members support its operation. Members of JAK choose to pool their savings and then lend them without charging interest to one another for things like education loans, house renovations, and mortgages. JAK Bank has 30 local branches and many JAK members groups. The local branches heavily rely on the help of 650 community-based volunteers who have been instructed in the ideas and methods of interest-free lending by JAK staff to keep administrative costs down. Through local educational activities and the JAK newspaper, these volunteers bring in new members. For help with community participation, volunteers can use a variety of JAK systems, including online forums and internet services. Courses are offered by a JAK school to volunteers and members. The Swedish JAK Bank functions very similarly to a credit union, with the exception that members don't get interest or profits on their investments or savings. There is also a requirement for saving money. Members are entitled for fee-based loans with no interest by giving up their interest and dividend income. JAK Members Bank is a cooperative. JAK Bank has 30 local. The total cost of a JAK loan is included for things. 1 or 2% of the accepted loan value will be charged for the loan appraisal and setup cost, an annual administrative charge equal to 1% of the loan, an annual contribution to the JAK educational system and volunteer efforts of about $30, up 6% of loan value equity deposit to cover risk on every loan in the portfolio. Equity deposits serve as the bank's reserves and are considered its property until the loan is paid in full. The deposit is then fully returned to the member if there hasn't been a default. The JAK maintains 20% of equity deposits in government treasury bills as a hedge against any unexpected withdrawal of savings by members. Bad debt has been kept below 0.5%, which also helps to keep loan costs so low. Additionally, members can promise to hold savings even when they are making loan payments. This is referred to as post-saving, and it is set up as an additional savings contract that runs along with the loan contract. The member can immediately negotiate a higher loan by agreeing to keep saving while the loan is being paid down. An account can be given to new users right away. Each participant receives a saving point, 1 point for every dollar saved each month, instead of interest when money is saved in a common pool. A member who has saved points is allowed to borrow money without paying interest. The number of accumulated or contracted savings points determines how much a member can borrow. Savings points are essential to JAK ability to keep the system liquid, which is essential to providing interest-free loans to an expanding membership. The average size of a loan in the JAK system is $15,000. By far, the greatest loan is about $1 million. The management of JAK wants to maintain a reliable non-profit business. They do aim to make $140,000 in profit annually, which, if achieved, is added to the bank's equity. JAK loans over $60,000 are secured by assets in order to reduce credit transaction costs and default rates. The majority of JAK loans, which include student and consumer loans in the mix, are for home renovations or the refinancing of high-interest loans obtained initially from banks. The JAK cooperative banks operate differently to nearly all traditional financial institutions. First, it is member-controlled and governed just like credit unions. Second, there are no interest fees. Third, it aims to achieve a small annual profit with the intention of boosting the core equity ops on the balance sheet. Fourth, it has more than 650 volunteers who actively promote about interest-free lending and educate others in its fundamentals. Fifth, it combines a small workforce with a highly professional, centralized office to enable scattered loan activities through technological methods. The cost of management per member is very low. For example, $144 in 2002. 6. Each loan is secured by real assets, such as the savings of other members, and 20% is kept in Swedish treasury bills for safety and to top up earnings. Contrary to typical banks, which lend $20 or more for every dollar deposit, this is not the case. The JAK model has the ability to enable and generate solidarity savings in a special way. An innovation that has to be adopted and scaled up involves local ways for people to invest in their community's ability to address fundamental requirements. One strategic route to a successful future is the JAK model. And this is our group's references. Thank you for watching our group's presentation.